An arrogant alien council watches a remote human world light up under their bombardment, believing Earth is too far to retaliate. But their silence hides something deeper, something older, something watching, and the sky begins to smile. Back! Record this for the archives, so the next species knows you don't taunt the void. Vrankel, High Speaker of the Zarketh Concord, they called it strategic silence. The council chambers gleamed with shimmering hexaglass, a panoramic window stretching across the black of space. Beneath it, a planet. Blue, not Earth, but close, twisted with fire. Crimson tendrils slithered through the stratosphere. Cities blinked out like candles. The bombardment fleet floated above it, elegant and bored. The Zarketh Concord had issued their warning. Earth had not replied. "This is what silence brings," muttered Vrankel, his 6 golden eyes narrowing. "No message, no plea, no ambassador." "Primitive mammals think silence is defiance," scoffed Admiral Kelva, tail coiling around his waist. "But it's just cowardice wrapped in radio static." He raised a bony digit, gesturing. Another barrage fell. From orbit it was art, precision detonations. Sculpted annihilation. A junior tactician, younger than most neural cores in the room, leaned forward. "High Speaker, forgive me, but this wasn't Earth. This colony wasn't even armed. Why strike here?" Vrankel didn't look away from the fire. "Because Earth is watching. Let them see their children burn." Silence again, the kind that wasn't absence, but anticipation, somewhere deep in the galactic backwash. A signal blinked, once, then again, then it vanished. "Any response from Earth?" asked the communications node. "Still nothing," the adjutant replied. "Total blackout from the Sol system. No satellites, no probes, not even planetary rotation telemetry." "No rotation data?" Kelva frowned. "That's, absurd. They're blocking stellar shadows, not just radio." Now, the room quieted, a new kind of silence, not strategic. Not proud, flash to orbit over the burning colony, a drone feeds live footage to the council. Vrankel watches a single surviving structure, a bunker half-melted, its door hissing open. Out stumbles a child, a human child, eyes ash-covered. Face-blooded, she looks up and smiles. "She's smiling," muttered Kelva. "Is that a glitch?" "No, Admiral, that's live." "What kind of species?" The child raises one trembling hand, not in surrender, in recognition. The camera shakes. Something massive, just for a frame, blots out the sun. Then nothing. The feed cuts, static. The sky smiled back. "Relay failure?" snapped Vrankel. "Bring it back!" "Sir, the drone is offline. It's gone." "Gone?" In a single frame, something moved between the drone and the star. "What?" No signature, no thermal trail, no ion disruption. Kelva's voice dropped. "You mean something cloaked?" The youngest tactician spoke again. "Or something that doesn't need cloaking. Something that isn't detectable." Meanwhile, in Sol System In, the shadow of Pluto's ice shell, a black hull shimmers into existence, silent, angular, monolithic. No lights, no windows, just one pulse, repeating on all frequencies. "Tell the council, Earth has arrived." Then the ship vanished again. They burned a colony. Earth burned the veil between stars. Back in the council chamber, the atmosphere shifted. "Earth responded," whispered Vrankel. "Finally," said Kelva. But no one was smiling anymore, because Earth's first message wasn't a plea or a warning, or even a threat. It was just a presence, unseen, silent, and above all, impossible. And that was before Earth even responded. The child's smile lingered longer than it should have. More than a face, it felt like a message. No teeth. Just a slow curl of the lips that unnerved the watching species more than any weapon might have. Back on the Concord ship, silence turned into suspicion. "Play that last frame again," Vrankel ordered. They did, pixel by pixel, frame by frame. And there, It was not a blur, not an error, a shape, sharp, asymmetric, unregistered. It's not listed in the Interstellar Vessel Codex, said the AI node, voice low. Not even in the theoretical sections. Kelva's breath caught. So they built something outside. Known design logic. Or it's not a ship, someone whispered. It's something else. Vrankel turned. You mean a weapon? The whisperer didn't answer. They didn't need to. The thought had been spoken, and it now lived in every neural cluster in that room. Earth had sent no words, no warning, just presence, a ripple, a deviation, a statement louder than plasma fire. Then another signal came, not from Earth, from somewhere else. Triangulation complete, said the sensor AI. Signal source, outer edges of Messier 82, 25 million light-years from Earth. Impossible, Vrankel said sharply. Earth has no reach there, no colonies, no drones, not even exploration probes. Yes, said the AI, and yet the signal carries Earth's linguistic signature. What does it say? A pause. Then, on every screen in clean Terran English, strike one colony. Lose one system. Strike two. Lose the sky. No voice, no face, just that. And one small corner of the galaxy went dark. A star collapsed, not over centuries, in moments. It didn't nova. It folded, like a curtain pulled tight, radiation, bent around it. The gravity didn't behave like gravity. What did we just witness? Kelva barked. The AI's voice cracked for the first time. An extinction event, artificially induced. You're saying they collapsed a star? Not just collapsed, they snuffed it, a moment of disbelief, of absolute stillness, then movement, urgent, jittery. Tacticians scrambled, fleet reroutes issued, distant colonies locked down, but somewhere deep in every council species' gut, the realization was the same. This wasn't just revenge, this was message. On a quiet bridge orbiting the Kuiper Belt, Commander Elise Mathers of the Terran Outer Silence Command stood watching old stars blink. She didn't speak much. She didn't. Need-to Earth didn't select its fleet leaders for charisma anymore. They selected them for what they could end. Report, she said softly. The AI inside her right ear whispered. Colony strike confirmed. We lost 4,200 lives, mostly children. Broadcast complete. Enemy reaction, escalating dread. She nodded once. And the ghost frame? Delivered. Did they see the child? Yes. Good. Elise closed her eyes. They'd planned for that smile, for that exact frame. Earth had no time for diplomacy anymore, not after Europa, not after Vega Line, not after the silence protocols had failed. Humanity had watched, hidden, bleeding quietly behind its moons and mountains. Now they had a new philosophy. You don't warm the fire when you light the match. You just let it burn. Back. In the council, the first resignations came. A reptilian bureaucrat, a feathered economist, a deep-world philosopher. They all understood something now, a truth older than their treaties. Earth had been quiet not because it was weak, but because it had nothing left to say, and creatures with nothing left to say are the ones who act. Loudest! What do we do? Asked the youngest tactician, barely suppressing tremor in his gills. Vrankel answered, not looking away from the empty feed. We prepare for their battleship. Kelva turned. They wouldn't dare enter council-controlled. Orbit? They've already entered orbit. Where? Another pause. The AI spoke again. Here. Every head turned. Outside the window the stars shifted, then stopped. Something massive had moved into synchronous orbit, but sensors saw nothing. No distortion, no metal, just absence. I don't see anything, Kelva whispered. That's the point, Vrankel murmured. You're not supposed to. A pulse hit the ship. Silent, not damaging, just felt like standing in a cathedral before something divine or monstrous. They've sent a message, said the AI. Vrankel clenched his mandibles. Read it. A single word appeared across every screen. Knock. On Earth, deep under the black site known only as Dorian Thresh, an old man smiled for the first time in 40 years. "They're ready to talk," he whispered. The commander. Beside him, her arm replaced by a spinal-linked feedback cannon, exhaled sharply. "They won't like the terms. That's the point." He leaned forward, his voice as dry as old parchment. "Give them the terms." The Zarketh Council's comms platform lit up. 9999 encrypted feeds. Every species tuned in. And then humanity spoke. No face, no leader, just a voice. Female, calm, measured. "I am the watch of Earth. I speak for what survived." Silence across. "The species, you burned one of ours, so we burned a star. We consider that fair." Several murmurs broke out. The channel wavered. The voice didn't. "We are not here to negotiate. We are not here to warn. We are here to balance." Kelvar snarled. "What do you want?" There was a pause, then laughter. Soft, subtle, echoing, not unkind, just aware. "You still think this is about what we want?" A beat. "No, this is about what you made us." The screen cut. Every system with human access locked. Every satellite infected with a countdown. It ticked. No weapons launched, no fleets moved, no one died. But the countdown ticked anyway, and every alien heart that had ever dismissed Earth as backwater, primitive, unfit, started to understand. This wasn't humanity trying to win. This was humanity refusing to lose. At the final tick, nothing exploded. No planets shattered, no blood spilled. Just one thing changed. The stars, they moved. Not physically, not astronomically, emotionally. The stars no longer looked safe. No longer cold, no longer distant. They felt watched, observed, judged. Vrankel sank slowly into his seat. "We've made a mistake," Kelvar hissed. "We should strike first. Crush their fleet before they arrive in force." Vrankel turned his head slightly, and for the first time in their long alliance, his voice held genuine fear. "You don't understand, do you?" Kelvar didn't respond. Vrankel looked toward the stars. "They're already here, and above their capital moon, so far from Earth that no human foot had ever walked there, the stars blinked again. Not with light, but absence. And then, one by one, orbiting satellites began to fall. Not shot, not fried, not hacked, just removed. Cleanly, elegantly, without a sound, just gone, as if the sky had decided what no longer belonged. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. Kelvar stood in silence, eyes locked on the black canvas above. No alarms, no confirmed impacts, just decay. Orbitals gone. Communications quiet. Satellite debris nowhere to be found. Not scattered, not melted, but absent. A kind of neatness that terrified more than any explosion. "Where are the remains?" he asked, voice low. The AI answered without emotion. "There are none." "None?" "Zero. As if they never existed." Vrankel didn't speak. He was still staring at the stars. Or where stars had once been, and in that moment he saw something, not with his eyes, but in the pattern, the gap between constellations, a void, purposeful, shaped like nothing, yet terrifyingly familiar. "They're drawing something," he murmured. Kelvar turned. "What?" A symbol. Kelvar stared upward, and then it clicked. The vanished stars, the missing gaps, weren't random. They formed a pattern, a grid, a cross-section, and in its center, the Sol system. "They're using the galaxy as a canvas," Vrankel whispered, "and we're inside the stroke." On Earth, silence was sacred. Inside the Terran Void Command, buried deep beneath old Antarctic ice, Commander Elise Mathers ran her fingers across a translucent screen. Each finger corresponded to an orbital kill signature. She didn't smile. She never did. This wasn't war anymore. It was a punishment. "Status of Zarketh High Orbit," she asked. Her voice, like always, felt distant, as if she'd already lived this moment once and was only acting it out now. The AI responded. All 8112 satellites removed. 0 detected by local sensors. Latency response suggests existential. Disarray. Psychology rating. Council species panic index is now at red sigma. Suggested behaviors include irrational aggression, abandonment of frontier colonies, and unscheduled resignations. Elise finished. She leaned back. They're not thinking straight. No, the AI replied, but they will soon. AVD spike at the edge of Zarketh territory. A remote mining station blinked offline. No explosions, no attacks. The miners just stopped answering. Security drones entered the compound. There were no bodies, no signs of struggle. Only one thing remained. Carved into the wall in jagged, scorched human text. You broke the silence. Now it's your turn to listen. The council called for emergency quorum. Representatives from 12 systems convened, jittering, stuttering, panicking in a dozen. Languages, Earth must be contained. They're rewriting astrophysics. They've infected our cosmology. Arguments, screams, pleas. Then came the calm voice from the floor. It didn't belong to a counselor. It belonged to Orrin Dale, a retired military strategist once dismissed. As too paranoid. Containment is impossible, he said simply. Kelva snapped. Then you're suggesting surrender. No, I'm suggesting we survive. How? Orrin stood. His feathers were thinner now, beak chipped, voice old, but his words cut through the room like blades. We stop thinking of Earth as a planet. Everyone stared. They are not. A planet. Not a species, not even a fleet. He turned, eyes sweeping across every trembling delegate. They are an equation we failed to solve. AVD Spicon, the far side of the Orion Drift, a battlecruiser named Vathel's Mercy, opened fire on an unidentified ship. It never reported again. But the last frame it sent, just one flicker, showed something that rewrote every doctrine. In the known galaxy, a single Terran vessel, unarmed, no turrets, no visible weapons, its hull smooth obsidian, geometry unnatural, its shape unsettling, and on the side, not a flag, not a serial number, just a handprint, red, human-sized, dripping downward. And the crew? They were smiling. Back on Earth, the Antarctic winds howled above the buried command base. None inside noticed. Commander Elise stood before the AI again. How? Long before they asked to negotiate? Prediction 6 cycles. That's late. Yes, but they are proud. Elise nodded. Let them bleed their pride out. A pause. Then a flicker of emotion passed her face. Just once. They made orphans smile at fire. The AI said nothing. It didn't need to. In Zarketh airspace, panic had metastasized. Ships retreated. Orbital stations shut down. Science vessels encrypted themselves from inside and initiated suicide protocols to prevent being collected. Children were forbidden from looking up at the stars because the children had started to draw the shapes too, the same pattern, circles, dot lines. The human geometry. No one taught them, a xenopsychologist whispered, horrified. They're dreaming it. Kelvar stood on the edge of his war room. The hologram of the galaxy burned softly in front of him. One by one, more systems went dark. Not destroyed, just unreachable, isolated, cut off from known space, like pieces on a game board gently lifted. Off, he turned to Vrankel. They're not here to kill us, Vrankel didn't reply. They're here to erase us. The watch of Earth transmitted again, this time to every mind. Not just screens, not just comms, but dreams, nightmares, subliminal flickers embedded in the neural pathways of sleeping diplomats and field marshals and mothers and governors. A voice, always the same. I am the watch. I remember the screams from your fire. I count your cruelty. I keep the score. And then silence. But the listeners woke up screaming. One tore out her eyes, screaming she saw the map too clearly. Another tried to burn out the stars on a telescope lens with acid. Another, the bravest of them, wept alone in a council bunker and said, very quietly, "We should have left Earth alone." In a desperate gambit, the council authorized a new weapon, the Corefract, a theoretical cascade bomb meant to detonate conceptual mass, to unravel the idea of a thing, not the thing itself. They loaded it into a ship and pointed it toward the Sol system. It never made it. Halfway there, it disappeared, not exploded, not captured, just erased like a forgotten word. And in its place, Earth sent back one small file, an image of the weapon's blueprints, now tattooed across a dead council soldier's back, flayed and floating in void, still smiling AVD spike. They tried to hack Earth's systems. They sent a virus, elegant, recursive, ancient code. What returned was not a firewall, but a poem. You reach with greed, with rusted hands, but you forget the forge that shaped us. We are not stone. We are not flame. We are the silence after screaming ends. The virus deleted itself. So did its creator. Orindale called the final meeting. "I know now what they are," he said. "They are consequence." Kelvar's hands clenched. "And what are we?" Orin didn't answer at first, then he spoke. Footnotes. No one laughed. No one argued, because deep down, they all felt it now. In their bones, in their sleep, in the way the stars refused to shine near Sul anymore. This wasn't war. This was balance, and Earth had come to collect. They held their last session underground, not because of security, because the sky had become unbearable. Something moved behind the stars now, and every species felt it. Not a ship, not a fleet, but presence, a watching, a waiting. Kelvar's voice was thin. Any word? No one responded, not even the air. Even Zarketh's atmosphere seemed to fear speaking Earth's name. A young diplomat, barely out of his molting phase, broke the silence. "We were supposed to be gods." He looked around the chamber with glassy, hopeless eyes. Do gods tremble? Above their capital, Earth's battleship finally decloaked. It didn't appear. It unfolded. The stars bent. Not light. The idea of space bent. First came the sound. Not audible, not measurable. But everyone felt it, a soft hum, like the galaxy had drawn in a breath. Then the silhouette, a triangle that wasn't a triangle. Corners that flexed and stretched and refused to obey geometry. Size? Meaningless. One mathematician screamed and tore her own notes in half. "It changes when you look away." The ship drifted into orbit. No weapons drawn, no signals sent, just there, like a god that didn't need permission to enter. Inside the battleship, Elise Mathers stood at the observation panel. No helm, no crew around her. She didn't need them. Humanity's response wasn't measured in guns, it was measured in restraint. Her eyes scanned the planet below. Her voice, steady and clean, activated the final protocol. Broadcast. The voice reached every council system. No screen, no warning, just a message. "I am the watch of Earth. We did not ask for war. We asked for peace. You gave us fire. We asked for silence. You gave us screams. We asked for dignity. You took our children." There was a pause, not dramatic, just final. "So now, we give you memory. Every mind in the galaxy, every species, every caste, every creature with neural capacity saw the same thing, a child, burning, still smiling, over and over, and over. And over again, screams looped, not as punishment, as archive. The watch had become memory incarnate. They weren't conquering, they were engraving. Back in the chamber, Orindale stood and spoke quietly. "There won't be surrender. Not because we don't want to, because they don't need it." He turned to Kelvar, who looked 1,000 years older. "We're not at war." Kelvar didn't answer. "We're inside the verdict." And outside, in high orbit, the battleship tilted slightly, almost thoughtfully. Then it opened. Not a hangar, not a weapon bay, just a door. Behind it, nothing, a pure black doorway, darker than death. One by one, the Council's systems began to go dark again, but this time, by choice, entire fleets turned off their lights, colonies disconnected from the network. Planets shut their own satellites down and went quiet, like prey, freezing, like sinners, praying. And then Earth did the unthinkable. They left. No battle, no destruction, just absence. The ship closed, folded, vanished into a ripple of unreality. The message, clear. They weren't here to destroy, they were here to remind. And now that the memory was installed, they had no reason to stay. Years passed. No Earth ships returned, no new signals, but the galaxy never healed, because fear doesn't need presence to survive. It needs memory. And Earth had become myth. Children drew the handprint on walls and whispered about the Star Eaters. Priests rewrote scriptures to include the shape that watches. War fleets turned into peacekeeping vessels, and every civilization, every species, every powerful voice that once mocked Earth began watching their skies, waiting, fearing, because now they knew the humans didn't destroy the galaxy, they taught it silence.